The 1970s was a decade full of wild fashion, disco fever, and some pretty bizarre laws. It wasn't just about bell-bottoms and groovy tunes. There were rules that today might make you scratch your head in disbelief. From odd regulations about what you could wear to restrictions on how you could act in public. Let's dive into 20 strange laws from the 1970s that you won't believe existed. Imagine you're rolling into a restroom on your skates, only to be stopped because it's illegal. Yes, back in the 1970s, certain places banned roller skates in public restrooms. The reason? Simple safety concerns. Skates on slippery tiles could lead to chaotic falls, and nobody wanted to deal with injuries in such a confined space. So authorities kept a close eye on this, especially in busy areas. In parts of New Jersey, slurping soup was considered bad manners, so much so that it was actually illegal. This strange law was meant to promote proper dining etiquette in public places. If you got caught slurping, you could face a fine. Authorities took this seriously, as they believed that good manners were essential to maintaining a respectful society. A law in New York made it illegal to jump off buildings. While it seems obvious, this law wasn't just about discouraging dangerous stunts. It was about preventing tragic accidents and preserving public order. The law was strict, emphasizing the need to protect lives, and it's still in place today. In some areas, if you wanted a bathtub, it had to have legs. This rule was likely about preventing mold and ensuring easy cleaning underneath the tub. Authorities were so strict about this that homeowners could be fined for installing a legless tub. It sounds odd now, but it reflects the focus on hygiene and building safety back in the day. Believe it or not, there was a time when frowning at a police officer could get you into trouble. This law aimed at maintaining respect for law enforcement was strictly enforced in certain places. The idea was that showing any sign of disrespect, even a frown, could undermine authority and disrupt public order. In many cities, feeding pigeons was banned. Pigeons were seen as a nuisance, often leaving behind messes and spreading disease. By cutting off their food supply, authorities hoped to control their population and keep public spaces cleaner. Violators could face fines, highlighting how seriously this was taken. In some places, driving a black car on Sundays was actually prohibited. The reason? Sundays were considered a day of rest and peace, and black cars were seen as too disruptive. This law was about preserving the calm atmosphere that was expected on a Sunday, with penalties for those who broke the rule. Silly string might be fun, but in the 1970s, some towns banned it. The colorful spray created a mess and was considered a form of vandalism. Authorities, particularly during events like parades and Halloween, enforced this rule to keep public spaces clean. Fines were issued to those who didn't comply, showing just how seriously they viewed this issue. In some areas, if you were under 18, playing pinball was off limits. Authorities believed that pinball was a gateway to gambling and other immoral behavior. This law targeted arcades, with strict penalties for both the underage players and the establishments that allowed them to play. It reflected the moral concerns of the time. One of the most unusual laws was in some states, where carrying an ice cream cone in your pocket was illegal. The concern was that horses might follow the scent and cause disturbances or accidents. This law might sound silly now, but it shows how specific and quirky some regulations could be. Keeping streets clean was a priority, which is why spitting on the sidewalk was illegal in many cities. This public health measure aimed to reduce the spread of disease and maintain cleanliness. Fines were imposed on violators, reflecting the high standards for public hygiene during that era. Modifying the American flag was a big no-no, especially if it involved painting polka dots on it. This law was all about protecting the flag's dignity and ensuring it was treated with the utmost respect. Violators faced severe penalties, highlighting the seriousness of maintaining the flag's traditional appearance. Yes, there was a law against flirting with flags. In certain towns, using flags to flirt was banned, as it was considered inappropriate and disruptive. Authorities wanted to keep public behavior in check, ensuring that everyone acted respectfully and properly in public spaces. Hot pants might have been a fashion trend, but in some places, wearing them in public parks was banned. The concern was that they were too revealing for family-friendly environments. This decency law was strictly enforced to ensure that parks remained appropriate for all visitors. In some cities, dog owners were required to put diapers on their dogs in public. This law was designed to keep public spaces clean and free from pet waste. It might seem over the top, but it was a practical solution for maintaining urban hygiene. Singing while wearing a swimsuit? In certain places that was illegal. Authorities considered it improper and believed it could attract unwanted attention. The goal was to maintain public decorum, and violators faced fines or other penalties for breaking this strange rule. Safety was a big concern in the 1970s, which is why hanging objects from your rearview mirror was banned in some areas. Anything from dice to air fresheners could block the driver's view, leading to accidents. Authorities strictly enforced this law to improve road safety. Noise control laws in some cities made it illegal for dogs to bark after 6 p.m. This regulation was about maintaining peace and quiet in neighborhoods. Dog owners were responsible for keeping their pets quiet, and those who didn't comply could face fines. The internet was just starting out in the 1970s, and connecting to it without permission was illegal. Unauthorized access to early networks was seen as a significant security threat, with heavy penalties for those caught. This law was a precursor to modern cybersecurity regulations. In certain college towns, having a couch on your porch was illegal. The concern was that upholstered furniture could catch fire easily, posing a risk in densely populated areas. This law was part of broader efforts to reduce fire hazards and keep communities safe. These strange laws from the 1970s give us a glimpse into the concerns and values of the time. While some might seem odd or even funny now, they were serious business back then. So next time you're reminiscing about the 70s, remember it wasn't all just disco and bell bottoms. There were some pretty peculiar rules to follow too.